1937, the father of the nation Mahatma Gandhi, during the Wardha conference, gave a clarion call to skill India. 70 years later, skilling is back in focus again. The current government has set the ambitious target of training 40.2 crore people by 2022. But the big question emerging at this point in time is whether the youth of the country, looking at it favorably or not, are they shying away from it? And in the studio, I'm joined by Shrishti Vasudeva, student Kamala Nehru College, on my left, and Shubhadeep Biswas, Lead Policy Advocacy, ILNFS, Education and Skills. Shubhadeep, we'll start with you. Why do you believe that the students are shying away from vocational courses?
The first reason I think they're shying away is because they don't see well-paying jobs at the end of the tunnel. And I think for the purpose of any education or skills training program is that I'll get a dignified, well-paid job. And I don't see that happening in the current scenario. So that is one of the primary reasons why they are shying away.
Right.
Also, there is our social designing happens in such a way that parents from class 6th or 7th start telling their kids that you need to start preparing for IITs and IIMs. Nobody would ever say that you have this skill in carpentry, or maybe a family was into plumbing and you continue in that. So a plumber's son will always try and aspire for a well-paid job, and those would be through an engineering or a law.
I have to cut you short, but we'll come back to you. So two important points raised by Shubhadeep there, Srishti. And of course, first he spoke about the lack of opportunities, better opportunities rather. There are opportunities, and of course, the second point is the mindset. Let's have your rebuttal on both those points one by one. Okay, and you have about a minute to make your point.
All right. So in short, I think 20 years back, the demand of education was to probably get a 95% and a lakh package by the end of it. I think with time, people recognize the importance of holistic development and your skill development completely, because they believe that not just money can make you happy, but you aspiring to become somewhere better up in life in whichever space you really want to do that. Right. At a secondary level, considering the scenario of India, there's insane amount of educated unemployment, right? People are educated and they aspire for these, great degrees, but by the end of it, they sit at home because of the taboo that's attached, because they don't end up getting jobs. So I think it's the need of the hour that we let people get away from this taboo, because only then can you have people, develop holistically and aspire for jobs that, just not give them 1 lakh packages, but help them sustain their lives.
Right. Of course, we'll talk about mindsets in a bit, but she raised a very important point there. And what will your rebuttal be? What will you say?
I think the question more for my side would be to the industry, that is the industry willing to hire a person who is better skilled than someone who just has a paper degree? So are there mechanisms while a person is being interviewed to see to it that that person is being taken into job because of his or her skills, and not just because...
But the matter of fact is he or she is perhaps not even skilled enough. For example, if you look at the National Education Report 2013, it says that slightly around 50% of India's youth are not employable. And these are the engineers, doctors, and other professionals coming out of very prestigious colleges. So the point that she made is the fact that, well, they are coming out, there are millions of engineers coming out of engineering colleges every year, but are they employable?
Exactly, and as we would recall that yesterday when the Prime Minister was launching the Skill India campaign, he used this anecdote that he asked a person that what is it that I can employ you? And that person could only say that I am a graduate, I am a graduate, and I am a graduate.
Right.
So I think just being a graduate does not help. So we need to focus on the fact that what are the skill sets that that person, whether he's a graduate, a BTech, or a diploma in any stream, has, so that the employer can employ him because of his employability skills, and not just because of some 3-year or 4-year program that he has been able to go through.
Or do you believe that there should be some sort of division, in the sense that a certain sort of students from the very beginning should be directed towards, well, let's say, to excel academically, perhaps to go for degree courses, postgraduate courses, and a certain few should be diverted towards, let's say, skill-oriented courses, vocational courses? What would you say?
I think that would create the division even further. That would, segment them even further, because I think that's what already exists, right? Certain people who are, let's say, better off with marks right from the beginning are, aspire to become doctors, engineers, and some people who aren't that good in studies end up, with no option, and that's why they're forced to go to alternative professions. I think the problem with our education system is such that, you know, this division exists. So I think this division should not exist. Our education system should be so equipped with teaching people both like bookish knowledge as well as on-the-job training, which is equally important when you enter a job. Like, you can't quote formulae from your math book. You need to know how to implement them in your accounts logbook. So I think that's extremely important, and this division is further going to create divisions.
But I guess we're talking about tangibles. We're talking about skills. Let's say the skills that a plumber might have, and vis-a-vis an engineer who is coming out of an engineering college has a BTech degree. I was talking to a gentleman a couple of days ago, and director of an institute, and he says that if you look at the engineers coming out of engineering colleges, well, they have a degree, true, and they can go appear in an interview anywhere, but the matter of fact is, if you ask them, and in his words, he said it in Hindi, कि अगर उनको बोलो fuse लगाने को, तो वो fuse नहीं लगा सकते. तो engineer हैं आप, you have studied in engineering college for 3 years, 4 years, and then you have an MTech, but if you can't even do that, how can you expect a job? So that again emphasizes that the big push that the government and the corporates are making to skill the country, to skill the youth of the country, is very important. What would you say?
Right, and one of the primary reasons why we are not getting it right is because we have to realize that each level...
Is it a mindset problem? Do you primarily look at it as a mindset problem?
The mindset problem is definitely there. Our entire society looks at a hairdresser or a plumber or a carpenter in a much different fashion than how an engineer or a person who has studied from abroad will be looked at. But also, I think recently skilling in schools has also been introduced. So that is a big leap forward in terms of introducing school students to vocational skills, so that they can also start realizing if they are good at, say, photography or journalism or cooking, then how can they pursue those things higher up. But also, to your point, when you are saying that an engineer cannot fix a fuse, we also need to look at the different levels in skilling.
Right.
So while a person who is graduating from an engineering college will have higher order skills for designing maybe a power station, he would always need support staff.
Right.
And the huge gap in supply and demand today lies exactly there, where we do not have these entry level jobs, and the maximum vacancies are there where you need entry level people and not people who are, you know, at the end of the skilling
spectrum level. Yes. Srishti?
Yeah, I think that the people who are receiving this first-hand education are willing to move beyond these bookish knowledge. I think the taboo exists from the second and the third generation, where they want their children to have, you know, a safe life, where they don't have to every day run for money and, you know, the same packages that I spoke about. But I think that the pattern is changing. Like, people now want to be able to stand in front of 10 people and give a presentation, as compared to just sitting behind a desk and working in their book, right? And I mean, for example, I'm working with this organization called Project Awaz, and they train people in like public speaking and critical thinking, because the youth of today is understanding the loopholes in the education system, and they're trying their best to fix it. And the phenomenal response that we're getting makes us realize the problems, these problems are being understood by people, and they're trying their best to fix it, except that we need to A, handle the taboo, and B, the government needs to facilitate us with those kind of techniques.
Which at least the current government is not, the previous government was not, but this government has set the ambitious target of skilling 40.2 crore people by 2022. You both seem to agree that a man with a toolbox is definitely better off than the one without. And the big push by the government might also lead to a change of perception. That's all that we have on the show today. Thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.